Hey everybody, it's Kevin Grady with the Gospel According to Music with another Bible review. This one is the NIV Preacher's Bible. Now this is unique in the fact that this is the very first time they have ever done a verse by verse of the NIV. So let's get started. As you can see, here's the box and here is this beautiful Bible. It's the Premier Collection. And it has, as you see, raised hubs. So I'll move in, click, closer so you can see that these hubs are raised. It is goat, as all the Premier Bibles from Nelson and Zondervan are goat. And look at that grain. That is gorgeous. It has the Premier stitching all around the edges. And when you open it up, you've got the gold all around the edges here. As you can see, it's goat skin leather. And it's edge line there. You can see that. Now, before we actually get into this Bible, let's take a look at the features. I'm going to go ahead and just leave this right here. You can pause it if you want to read all of that. As you see, it says the NIV, this is the only one that does verse-by-verse format. It's got the comfort print. These also are line matched or page match for the Pew and Worship Bible, which I'll show you here in just a minute. 36 GSM, double column, 3 satin ribbons, European paper, art gilding, black letter, line matched, and it's a 9.5 font size. Here's the ISBN number, and as you can see, it's $189.99, but of course you can find that cheaper on Amazon or christianbooks.com. Just check out the different locations where you can try to find it. Lifeway also has it, so just check it out. Okay, let's get into this Bible. As you can see, it is extremely floppy. That's because it's leather here and leather on the outside. Now, anytime you get a paste down, that's when they use either a vinyl or a paper liner. It causes it to be a little stiff, sometimes stiffer than others. But this is, of course, the Premier Collection, which it's gonna be very floppy. As we get into it, there's your presentation page. If I can, one of these days I'm gonna get a camera where I can have both of my hands. And as you see here, this is the first page here, verse by verse layout. And then there's your copyright information, 2011. And then come down here, it's the first print from 2020. That's the one, meaning the first print, and that's the year 2020. Okay. There's your table of contents. Now, there's not going to be a whole lot to this as far as like studies, because this is strictly just to preach out of. There's alphabetical order of all the books, the preface or preface, however you say it. I've heard it said different ways. The Old Testament. It's got kind of a not a royal blue, but kind of a dark blue. And by the way, as you see here, this is silver, and it's got the blue art gilding in it. And here's the first page. This is Genesis. And as you can see, the font's pretty good. Now, when they first came out with their comfort print, there were letters that were opened up, like the E, the B, the A. They had, it was kind of a very contemporary print, but it was extremely, extremely hard to read. So after about a year of having that print out, they changed it and went ahead and closed all the letters, which makes it much easier to read. It just bugged my eyes. As you can see, the verses are on the outside. There's the indication of when a new paragraph is started. Not all Bibles do that. Some do, some don't. Down here on the bottom, you can see a little bit of the transitional notes. Here's the next page. So you've got some of your translation notes here, explanations of, it also could be read this way. But there's no cross references. There's no anything like that at all. This is strictly for preaching, teaching out of. I like the blue. It sets it out pretty well. Some use red. This particular one uses blue. It just looks really nice. Always the ghosting looks worse on camera. And when I'm looking at it, I'm looking at the camera and then I'm looking down at the actual page, and it's not as bad as it looks on camera. Again, this is 36 GSM, so it's pretty good. So as you can see, that's the layout. So let's go over to, say, Psalms. Here's one of those ribbons. I like what they did here. They did different shades of blue. They did, and this is satin on both sides. They've got a royal blue here. Then there is a light blue and a lighter blue, kind of like a sky blue. So going over here, Chronicles. Now we're into Job. Okay, here we're into Psalms. I thought we were. Okay, now we're here. There's the beginning of Psalms. So now, as you can see that openness in the A and the P? That's the way the fonts were originally done, but they changed them, and as you can see, it's not open on the P or the A or the E or the D. So this is closed, so it doesn't bug your eyes, but they kept this when they're doing the headings. Again, very easy to read. This is, there's been some comments made that the comfort print is actually smaller print than normal. I don't know about that. I think it depends on the font, and I know that this font was created by 2K Denmark, but I think it's pretty close to 9.5. I can read it fine. I'm 65 years old. I know I say that a lot. It's not like I'm bragging. I guarantee you, I'm not bragging I'm 65. I would much rather say I'm only 35 or 45, but I'm not bragging that I'm 65. But I'm just saying that, I've been wearing glasses since I was in the 3rd grade, so I can read this pretty good. Okay, now we're getting into the New Testament. I really like that blue. That's a nice blue. Here we go in Matthew, and they've got that little line here breaking it up so you can kind of distinguish between the header and the text. The blue just jumps out at you. It's really nice. Now, I want to go over to this, and let me kind of use my hand over here and bring in. This is the Pew Bible. As you see, it says matches page for page with the NIV Preacher's Bible. It's in the comfort print. I don't know if you guys still use Pew Bibles. My church does, and they have the NIV 84, and they are literally falling apart. So if your church is looking at maybe buying a new collection of Pew Bibles, this would be great, because the pastor would be using, and if he says, how many times you heard turn to page 828, and you turn to 828 and it's not the same thing. See, here's 828. See, the Magi visit the Messiah. 828, the Magi visit the Messiah. So the print's a little bit smaller on this. Matter of fact, I wonder if they tell me how big the print is. Yeah, this is 9 point. It's 9 point. And as you see, it's exactly the same thing. So we'll just look at this. The next page starts off with, and as our Father, as our Father. So this way, when people are using this Bible, the Pew Bible, it's exactly online with this. And it's easier to follow along, because when you say turn to page whatever, you all are going to be on the same page. I know that sounded dumb, but I said it anyway. And then, of course, as you continue, now again, there's not going to be hardly any resources in the back. And I'm going to go to the very end, and there's Revelation, and then there's a table of weights, and that's it. Because again, this is a preacher's Bible, and it's not made for resources, and it's not made for study. It is just the text. So there you have it. This is from Zondervan. They sent these to me for just an honest review of the product, and so that's what I've given you, an honest review. I think this is a top quality Bible. I love it to pieces. It's just so good, so just nice. The leather's nice. The pages are nice. The only thing I could see this might being a problem is for senior citizens. The print may be a little too small for them. Because most everybody, and I'm thinking of my particular church, most of them use very large print or giant print or super giant print. It's like, in the beginning, page turned, is the word, page turned, and so, that's the only thing I could see a problem is some of the seniors won't be able to read it. But for the most part, it's it's page matched. Everybody's going to be able to follow along perfectly, and you should be able to enjoy it. And for those guys who teach or preach, finally, the NIV has come out with a verse by verse, so that you don't lose your place like you do in the paragraphs. So again, thank you so much for joining me. Please click on the subscribe button and the bell so you'll know when I post a new review. And thank you so much for joining me. And of course, I've got to plug the station. Here it is, The Gospel According to Music. If you were a part of the Jesus movement in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, and you love the classic contemporary Christian music like Andre Crouch and Keith Green and the second chapter of Acts, this is the station that's on the air 24/7. You go to gamradio.com and you will hear all your classic hits. Thank you guys once again for joining me here for the Gospel According to Music Bible Review. God bless.